Hello, my name is Jared Burks, and today I will present my PowerPoint on the VA hospital versus private hospital, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, okay, with our new inducted president, he is trying to make sure that he wants to privatize all the VA hospitals. He wants to privatize all the VA hospitals, which me personally, I wouldn't recommend it. But as we go through these slides today, there are pros and cons for privatizing the VA hospitals. The objective of this study was to examine the perceptions and problems and benefits of outsourcing inpatient care from uh, from the VA hospital to the private sector hospital. Primarily, primary data were collected from a cross section of 42 veterans who were VA users and non-users using these focus groups. Discuss and examine the reasons patient use VA care differences between military and civilian care. There were positive and negative impacts of outsourcing and special needs of veterans. Revealed the five domains related to both the use of VA services and perceptions of outsourcing, the cost, the access, and the quality of care, and special needs. Here are some of the benefits of privatizing these hospitals. One of the most complex and potentially problematic recommendations involved the creation of a VHA care system that would integrate private sector providers into a VHA supervised network. This network would service only those veterans eligible for VHA services. Currently, about 9 million veterans have been able to establish VHA eligibility. That is, that they have major health problems connected to the military service or a low income or have low income to qualify for the enrollment. It is recommended that veterans who are VHA eligible would choose a primary care provider who, in turn, will refer them to a specialist. These primary care doctors or specialists could work within the VHA system or go outside the VHA to be providers who contract with the agency. The VHA will be required to create a network that includes all providers who take care of veterans. This agency will have to screen and contract with community or private sector providers and ensure those providers use information technology systems that are compatible with the VHA networks. And also, the VHA will also have to make sure that those providers understand military culture and would be responsible for coordinating that care to veterans and helping them to navigate through the system. Now, there are risks of going to the privatization because when you go privatization on anything, that means that most of these companies will only work. The only hard work will come from the construction, but would rake in almost all the profits for decades and not look out for the veteran themselves. Now, here are some numbers that are projected from 2014 all the way to 2024 on the possible spending. Most of it's not etched in stone yet, but looking forward between 2014 and 2018, it is high, and we're talking in the billions, with a B. There are a number of reasons to compare the cost of VA to the cost of other providers. These users often obtain additional care outside the VA system through Medicare, Medicaid, or other forms of insurance. The dual use, particularly common among veterans eligible for Medicare, is a natural question. Therefore, is how VA costs compare to those Medicare funded services. Our senators or policymakers are also interested in learning whether it's more efficient for the VA to make or buy the healthcare services that provide to veterans, and whether VA is operating as a efficiency as non-VA hospitals do. Now, here is a chart that I have found about how the federal spending, uh, the benefits program like Medicaid versus the Department of Veterans Affairs. And as you can see, it's fairly high among the veterans versus the other benefit programs like Medicaid and Medicare. And beyond 2012, it has skyrocketed even higher. And to me, that's a lot of waste. And I don't know really what they can do about it this time. Now, um, this slide right here, they have found a significant leadership crisis within the VA as well as staffing shortages, which demoralizes the workforce and it has inconsistent care throughout the system. And in this point, it needs to realign its footprint to serve the veterans where they live. This analysis found out that the VA did well in some areas, such as performing matrix against the private haircut system, but failed in others, where I had explained before in slide number 6, such as the budgeting, the accountability, and the management practices, and the oversight in these care programs. Now, in slide number 8, there is always a constant struggle between the private organizations and the VA healthcare system about the money. But as far as improvements, they will have to do 5 things. And these 5 things, they will have to improve the veteran experience, improve on the employee experience, so you will have a low turnover rate, achieve the support services excellence, establish a culture of continuous performance improvement, and enhance the strategic partnerships. Now, these recommendations that I have seen when I have wrote this PowerPoint are as follows. And they need to improve the oversight of the access to timely medical appointments, including the development of wait time measures that are far more reliable and not prone to user error or manipulation. Improve planning, deployment, and oversight of the VHA and the VA systems, including identify outcome-oriented matrix, defining the goals of interoperability with the DoD, and then make sure that the documentation of decisions and the assigning officials are responsible for ensuring the improved recommendations that are implemented. And here are my recommendations. I mean, my references. My references, you can check them out and look at them. And it digs a lot deep on the healthcare and the welfare of all the veterans that are active and then got out of the service. Thank you for watching my PowerPoint display. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at jaredburks@gmail.com. And you have a nice afternoon.